Can't do the Mario like I used to. Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with Omi is my homie, episode number 54, with my co-host Crypto Rain. Crypto Rain, how's everything going?
Good.
So
really
today,
good.
We have the VeVe users are up, revenue numbers are up. Slomi is still slow to move in this market. It's been very volatile. Bitcoin's going from like 101 to 107 to 102 to 106, and I don't even know what it's at now. It's been crazy. Why the choppiness? Why can't it make up its mind? Why are markets so fickle?
Because human behavior is so fickle. That's exactly why. And most people do it wrong. Anything within where money is in quote unquote investment, they just do it wrong because they play according to their emotions. Their emotions lead them right into disaster zone over and over and over again.
So there's a what's up everyone in our chat? Yeah, what if Omi built a casino? What if VeVe versus a casino burned Omi? Maybe we could build something like that over there. I think that would be great. So I mean, I would
some regulatory environment would be like, you don't have a gaming commission license.
That's a good point.
It's a good idea functionally. I don't know if they get some country like Dubai to embrace that. Maybe
I think that'd be cool. So there's something that maybe not everyone might be able to identify with, but you never know. It's crypto. You could have 1,000x bag and not even know it. There's a viral post that went out like a week ago or so where modern day France had a couple of kidnappers go in and try to kidnap this really rich crypto billionaire's like daughter and granddaughter. Thankfully, the neighbors scared him away. When life gets real, how do you defend yourself against that? At what level of money do you be like, okay, I need at least one person, private security? Obviously, never have your crypto on you, but
never have your crypto on you and make it widely known is step one that helps. Like, don't people keep their crypto access on their phone. I'm like, hell no. Number one, phones are the easiest to compromise. So I don't believe in that. I don't believe in like having it on you because thankfully most of the criminals haven't figured it out, but they'll start going after the crypto rich, right? So you're seeing little bits of that. Now, all the ones that have done it so far have gone terribly. They've kidnapped people. They end up getting caught by the police, but still it's
crazy.
bad. So places like Russia are definitely not safe. France isn't safe. And that's just how it is. People would rather try to steal millions of dollars rather than earn it. Some people. And that's why there's so many different scams and stuff in the crypto space. You're in the crypto space. Why don't you just figure out how to do this right and make it legitimately? Well, it's so much fun to steal it from other people. The problem is people who steal funds from other people, they always feel guilty about those funds. So they waste them on shit. They never get rich. Even if they steal millions of dollars, they burn through it like a hole in their pocket. And they don't find the happiness and fulfillment they thought those millions of dollars would get them.
It's hard out there. It's rough.
So I saw those articles, right? It's crazy. But when I went to a Cardano conference, and at the time Charles Hoskinson was worth like $3 billion, and he had 2 private security, well-trained people. It's smart.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. It helps if you know people back in the day that, well, one, if you have a security license, but 2, if you just know a couple of ex-military dudes and be like, hey, and they would love to help you defend against the baddies. That always makes it a lot easier. So it is getting hard out there, but it's getting easier up in here to at least sell a couple of things. We have had a bunch of new users, about an average of 40 per week the last 3 weeks. And we also have an increase in active daily users. So they're not just new. There's a couple ones that are coming back as well. About 6 weeks ago, we had an average of maybe like 7-ish hundred, per day. Now we have over 1,100 per day on average. And for that, you get easier sell times or easier wait times to sell. I know Comics and Crypto has, I don't know if I should say, but they reached a certain milestone of a certain amount of Omi they wanted to hit. And they did it all by selling their stuff over on Stacker. Have you noticed anything, how it's been easier to sell things and the market's been more active? Or have you not been selling?
Yeah, I haven't sold anything on VeVe through Stacker or through VeVe. I think I took some profits on things. Like I literally probably haven't sold something in 3 years on VeVe because it's like it's just accumulate time. It's not sell. So I've done nothing but accumulate more. So some people like flip from one thing to the next. For the most part, I try to take good positions and just accumulate more. So I haven't noticed if it's easier to sell because I don't sell yet.
A lot of times, so obviously we know one will go up first, and like I said before, some of the market's going up, Omi's not. But it seems like in a lot of these other spaces I go to, it's really cool to like these random not even PFP projects, but these random NFT projects that really don't have much, and people are like, yeah, I just swept the floor. And on some of these things, the floor for these random NFTs, they're like $20, and they sleep, like 10 of them is $200. But some of these guys, like, yeah, I swept the floor, and the floor is like a half an ETH, and it's like, oh, you just spent like 10K on these little things that nobody knows that they are. When you go and you take a look at the amount of liquidity here, and then the amount, like NFT, it looks like NFTs are going to be cool. Looks like there's a lot of liquid in there. Seems that VeVe NFTs might go up before Omi. At what prices do you say, like, okay, yeah, now it's time to sell? Do you have I'm guessing it's going to be on any specific one. It's going to be different.
Yeah, it's based on a feeling of when like, for example, January 2022, like even December 2022, but really January 2022, I was like, this is craziness. This is the kind of stuff. And I was like, I sold some stuff, but I was like, funny enough, VeVe's cool enough. You get an emotional connection to these. And to my friend who was involved in VeVe, I was like, if I was completely able to be unemotional about this, I'd sell everything right now. And maybe it still goes up from here, but it's definitely harvest time. And I did sell a bunch of things, but it had I been completely unemotional about it, I would have sold everything, like every single thing. And so it's just a feeling where it just feels like it'll never stop going up. That is your exit now if you haven't already started exiting signal. It's almost like do the opposite. Like when you're feeling like, oh my gosh, VeVe prices are never going to stop going down, that's your buy signal. And when it feels like VeVe prices are never going to stop going up, exit quickly because it's about to show you that they do stop going up in reverse.
We had Michael Saylor last week say that sell a tooth if you must, but keep the Bitcoin. And that gets me thinking, when we do reach that top and we do sell, are you going to go into dollars? Are you going to go into stables? Are you going to go into Bitcoin? What are some of your things after you take profits? Where does that profit go?
Hold on a second. Bitcoin trying to break 107,000 right now. It's 106.9. Tends to do this right as we're doing our episodes, right? Like Tuesdays at this hour, like good for Bitcoin.
Heck yeah.
So I believe in taking profits to stables, putting them to the side because they're like, never sell your Bitcoin. It's like the goal is to get more Bitcoin. They're forgetting the bigger goal. So if you're not taking profits during a bull market, even Bitcoin will come down 80%. So it's like if you're not harvesting and selling, like Bitcoin's still going to get price punished. So for example, say we have a super cycle and Bitcoin goes to $500,000, it'll probably reverse down to $100,000 at a certain point. So wouldn't it be smarter to take profits on it and buy back more and keep that money in stables for about 2 years? Seems prudent to me. People are like, never sell your Bitcoin. It's like, no, the goal is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. I don't know why your goal would be never sell your Bitcoin because like the cycle is pretty clear that it goes way, way up and then it reverses way, way hard. So even Bitcoin, which I think has good longevity, it does make sense to harvest and then rebuy for cheaper. You easily get twice as much Bitcoin, even if you didn't sell the top and you didn't buy the bottom.
Yeah, agreed. There's one of the things that I think people may or may not be missing out on is that in 33 hours from now, the Blackpink set, the most recent Blackpink pet set, that will burn. And last I checked, there was like 13 completed sets. Like there were 13 people that had it. Like that's the least amount. So yeah, some of those are very, very scarce. You might be able to go and get them. You might have to wait a little while for them to go up, but they're and that's the most recent one. Be advised, it's like $420 for the entire thing. So it's 2 million Omi,
Quite
Blackpink.
expensive, yeah.
Yeah. But that's one of those things. So just be advised, everyone, on that. And shout out to everyone in the chats here. Kumo saying Mbaku. Bulgar says, I'm so tired, feeling like a zombie. What up, Cosmo? What up, everybody? So the UAE and the US had an artificial intelligence cluster presentation the other day, and it was wild. And I just had somebody on before that specialized in AI. And we've had a couple of teases on Stacker saying like, oh, hey, I wonder if this could go and be incorporated with AI. Is there a chance that you think VeVe could run with the AI narrative if AI is built into VeVeverse or if AI is built into Stacker?
Dr. Profit's kept abreast of what's going on with AI very well. And using AI to help you out design like your VeVeverse homes and everything, brilliant, smart. Will it run with the AI narrative? I think a lot of the stuff that runs with the AI narrative is complete crap. And so, like, I get hit up all the time. Oh, we're doing an AI project. We want you to advertise it. We'll pay you. And I'm like, no, that's crap. And I don't talk about like garbage to my audience. Oh, it could do well. And it's like, yeah, I mean, the snowball might reach hell as well, like maybe. But like a lot of the AI is baloney. Now there's a few legitimate companies. But it's funny when the AI narrative hits, even the crap flies. And I'm like, oh well. So will it run with the AI narrative? I don't know. I guess it depends on how it's integrated. If people can see the AI, and it's really a metaverse digital collectibles / NFT play. I don't know the AI narrative would couple with it too. I'd be surprised if it could play with the AI narrative. But, and talking to Dr. Profit even like a year ago, and he was telling me all the ideas he had with AI, I was like, he may find a way. I mean, don't underestimate that guy.
Yeah, he's very good at what he does.
He's super smart.
Yeah. So VeVe has done around $350,000 of the month so far. They'll likely hit the 400K at some point. And there's been a bunch of bounties that Comics and Crypto have put out, some of which they've secured, some of which they've said, the owners have said no, like get $20 for something and being offered an immediate 100x return, and they say no. Or even what happened yesterday where someone minted the 1977 Stormtrooper thing and they kept that, and it's like, bro. What are your thoughts on that? Why do people say no to 100x return?
I'd say no, because I know what that is going to do comparatively. Like depending, I might say no, or I might say yes, and then sell that for Omi. Because if it's immediate 100x return, is it going to 100x again from there? I don't know, but like I think Omi might 50x or 200x from where things are at. So I mean that would be a smart, logical decision. But say I landed the Mandalorian. What year did it come out? 2022. If I got that mint number, would I sell it for 2022, which the bounty was? Probably not. I'd probably keep it, and I would sell it in the coming bull run when somebody offers me like 222,000.
No.
I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah.
David's been pretty good at sharing a bunch of stuff from VeVe recently over on his X, and every now and then going in and sharing something from Instagram. And the other day, I think it might have been even yesterday, there was a commercial for, it was this car, it was doing a bunch of donuts, and then the donuts gave you like a head and two circles. Like it was the Mickey Mouse thing, exemplifying a Disney X Formula One crossover. And I was like, oh, that'd be really cool if we could do something with that. And then David today posted like him with a Formula One racer, and then along the side with the car, along the side was the, and he follows Formula One over on Instagram. Are you a big Formula One guy, or are you more of a NASCAR, or is this racing not your thing?
Not really my thing. Cars, funny enough, I just nod that into cars. Even with my goals are pretty ridiculous, related to supercars and stuff. I just like, so far cars have mostly been very utilitarian for me. Get me from point A to point B with low fuel costs and reasonable safety.
Yeah.
Later on, cars, I can appreciate the value that cars have. Like sometimes you just want a big beefy truck. Like, and I want like a ridiculous truck, like ridiculous, that I don't have to worry if it snows or I just suddenly want to go off-roading. Cool. But to this point, I've been very functional because I try to keep my expenses low, throw as much into my investments, and like starve my expenses, feed the hell out of my investments, let my investments grow. So then later I can raise my expenses, my monthly expenses tremendously, live very, very good, and never run out of money.
Yeah, I could see that. There's a bunch. There's a bunch that I think is great about cars. That I like when you go fast, like when you're driving a really cool car. It's cool to like. Maybe that's
the feeling is incredible, right? You can get that feeling for like 10 grand. It's called a motorcycle, and it can go 0 to 60 as fast as your fastest cars can go, and you even feel more exposed. But there's nothing like the performance of like a Lamborghini or Ferrari or some of those. Like they do give you a different feeling. It's funny, they Porsche did this measurement, and they had some people drive Porsches for like a couple months, and they had some people drive like Toyota Camrys for a couple months, and the testosterone levels went up in the men driving the Porsches over that period of time. So it does physiologically impact you having a sports car like that.
That is so cool. But yeah, I could definitely see that. Because I feel like in general, like I think it's a guy thing where you just kind of want, like, cars are cool. We want to go fast. We watched Transformers back in the day.
It is. Yeah, I know. I love Transformers too. And they do feel cool, and having that power and that ability to like go fast. I did have a motorcycle in my younger years. It was so fun for dating, and it was so fun for blowing off steam when you just had a bad day and you go out and you can go 0 to whatever the speed limit is, and as fast as you want, like 1.5 seconds. Amazing. And it just hits your emotions in a good way. And you don't even have to be very reckless. You can drive pretty safe and use that speed to just feel so much better. And so there's definite benefits to it.
Agreed.
So like F1 and NASCAR, I don't really follow it. It's cool. There are a lot of people that follow it. It's like, do I watch people circle around a lap over and over and over again? No.
I think it's like one of the most popular sports like in America is like NASCAR. There's like so many people.
I heard going to the actual races are really, really cool. And I have a friend that buys a lot of like Caterpillar products. Like he has an excavation company and is like, hey, yeah, you know, Caterpillar pays me to go to the races down there in Vegas every year. And I can take a guest and get you down there in the pit with like the headphones on and stuff. I was like, I'm down for that. Yeah. And he's like, you get to meet the driver and everything. I'm like, oh yeah. He said it's so fun. I was like, I'm game. I've never been attracted to watching on TV. Never been there in person, so I don't know what it feels like.
Yeah, a lot of things are more exciting in person because like on TV you're distracted when you're at home, stuff's going on, you have text, but when you're there, it's so strange, and I don't know how to quantify that, but like when you're in, I remember seeing, I was a St. Louis Cardinals fan back in the day, and it was like 06. I was watching, it was the Rockies versus the Cardinals at home at Busch Stadium, and just it was, you know, bottom of the ninth, and we were waiting for Larry Walker, who was on the Colorado Rockies beforehand, is up, and he's like, 1, a Golden Glove, 2, a major home run hitter, and he just knocks one out of the park, and just that type of energy of everybody, like 60,000 people going, yeah, like that, just, you could bottle that energy. Oh my God, you could power like a city. It sounds so amazing. Great times. Anyway, Arcturus, no, I did not onboard her yet, but I will. I had a podcast on before, but I'll get her. We have more stuff coming on. I don't know if have you seen those Kevin James edits where he's at NASCAR and he's like, God bless our troops, God bless America, and gentlemen, start your engine. And I feel so American when that happens.
That's funny.
I feel so good when that happens. Oh, Mr. MC1 got the Blackpink set. So I'm scrolling over the stuff for the news to go over, and I don't know if you've seen the clips either on the internet or if you've seen it on like the news, but like the Diddy trial is going on, and this is what they made Diddy look like. And they got him in such a bad way. They just got him in such a, that's rough, man. Dude, that is wild. I feel like this is like the modern day, like OJ, like everyone's watching this. It's insane.
Yeah, I haven't been watching it all. I got better things to do. Like whatever, I hope whatever justice is served.
Yeah.
So same. It's like, look, Hollywood, like, is he Epstein part 2? Seems like it, like the Hollywood or music version of it, but I don't know. Hopefully the jury gets it right if he's innocent or guilty or figures it out.
Oh,
I just haven't. I didn't watch OJ's trial either, and like watching the stuff, I just sorry, I'm selfish. It doesn't make me money, and it doesn't improve my personal life. I ignore it.
I was really young when OJ thing went to trial. I just knew it was big. So there's going to be a lot of money flowing into this space. Kathy Wood just bought like $58 million of the Bitcoin, and that's a relatively small amount compared to all the other people that are buying in. And at some point you're going to have, and I'm not saying this will happen. Like I think like Pudgy Penguins like filed for like an ETF. So just because somebody files for something and does something doesn't mean that it'll happen. But I think at some point there's going to need to be people that are going to be the bridge between like the VC investors and certain types of altcoins. And we just currently, there's that gap in education. There's that gap in, you don't know what you don't know. What would it take for you to go and say like, hey, Chavez, I can't do this anymore. I have I got an offer for $800,000 a year to go in and like walk these VCs, take their hands and walk them through this. Do you think that's possible for you or and I guess any one of us for going to educating them on altcoins and how
things work? Say that question again.
How much would it take for you? Because there's gonna be a lot of money flowing in this space. How much would the offer have to be for you to say like, hey, Brandon Chavez, I have this new job here where it's very demanding, but I'm taking these big VCs, like big, like major major money accounts of like billions of dollars, and I'm walking them through the best altcoins to buy outside of Bitcoin, ETH in the top 10, et cetera. What would they have to offer you to be like, hey, can't do this show anymore?
I don't know why I couldn't do both, but like I'm really not looking for a job. So like for somebody to offer me like a job, it would be ridiculous. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, we can't pay you that. It's like, so don't. I'm not going to work for you then. But the only way I'm going to go back to having a job, because my last boss was really good to me, truthfully. But like I let go of my last boss because I don't love having a boss. And I like determining what my future is. And if I just want to take 3 months and be in the Mediterranean on a ship with my wife, that's why I worked so hard. That's why I saved so hard. And I cut my expenses, tried to push up my income so I could invest this into crypto for so long, was because I want that freedom. So for somebody to offer me a job, if they're not paying me like $20 million a year, like, no. And they're like, that's ridiculous, Rain. And it's like, good. Hire someone else.
Yeah. Well, good to know your number. So there's someone saying like anyone thinks that doesn't believe Omi's going to 100x minimum is a numpty. I don't know what a numpty is, but it's my new favorite word.
That's our word for the day, a numpty. I'm going to get a drink.
Me too.
My non-alcoholic drink, my unhealthy addiction, Rockstar down the road. You better sponsor me, Rockstar. So yeah, when I have those supercars for every day of the week.
This is my favorite fizzy soda.
Be like, I'm going to start drinking Monster on the show if you don't sponsor me.
Yeah, fizzy sodas all the way. That's what I'm drinking. Anyway, I don't know if you remember, at some point, I think it was last year, it might have been the year before, where VeVe had they retweeted Pixar, who had shared something with the NFL, like come watch an NFL game in Andy's room. and they had like the plays of the players that were doing it, but it was with the toys in Andy's toy box. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
Well, they did, and nothing ever came from it. They were like, "Oh, we might have something to do with that," and obviously we didn't. So earlier this week, when VeVe had posted, "Hey, Minecraft is a 2011 sandbox game developed and published by the Swedish video game developer Mojang Studios," and they go on and just say, like, on this day, share your favorite Minecraft stuff, and everyone had, including me, I made a video about it, kind of up in arms, like, do they have a partnership? Do they not? And they've done this kind of thing before where it seems like it's a tease and then kind of nothing comes from it. Do you think that might hurt Omi if they keep on doing this, or does it at least get more eyes on the project? And at the end of the day, it'll be good for Omi in the long run, even if it's a small time bad thing.
Well, so when you're dealing with non-disclosures like David is, you can't like always make everything a sure bet. You got to have some uncertainty there, because he can't disclose. And if every time he like adds somebody and 100%, or every time he says something about 100%, that means there's a partnership there, he could get blamed for like, oh, you outed it, even though he didn't, because he just suggested it. So they've got to throw some curveballs sometimes, because they're throwing like speedball straight down the pipe every time. It's like,
that's a good point.
They probably could get in trouble with their non-disclosures. So
that's a really good point.
Yeah, throw some curveballs once in a while.
So if they were to go in and so let's say they have and the video was, do we have Minecraft, Roblox, and Pokemon? Because David, he follows Roblox and he shares some of that stuff on his Instagram. So I guess that would make some poetic sense. Like, oh, let's throw Minecraft at them so they don't suspect other stuff that's cooking.
Because at the end of the day, it's what a judge decides. But like, so say some licensor gets mad and like, you broke the non-compete because you followed us. And it's like, what does that mean? Well, every time you follow someone, you later release the IP. If he's throwing a few curveballs in there, if it gets to court, he can just show that's not true. It's not 100%.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. Unless, their non-disclosures say on certain date, you can tweet about this and stuff, even though that might reveal we might have something. But if his non-disclosures don't say something like that, he's got to throw some curveballs in so that he can hint at things without confirming it, that you don't know for sure. That's my guess on like the curveballs. There have to be some curveballs.
Agreed. There's speaking of curveballs, on Reddit the other day, I thought someone was advertising VeVe because they on a random Reddit, it was on a Star Wars subreddit, because they said, what's inside the Stormtrooper helmet? I was like, oh, that's us. And then they edited out where VeVe is. Like, they legit crossed
so
it out.
Funny.
What?
Those jerks.
Why do they do that? Why are there such haters?
I don't know. I did get some of those though. I'm like, I saw this cute little video where somebody did like a Grogu like hiding inside the helmet, and they opened it up and Grogu's inside. I'm like, that's so cool. Okay. I think I'd already bought into, and I was like, I'm gonna buy some more. So
Clever Jerk had a really fun photo where, because you have remember the old Stormtroopers, or just the Crimson Red Troopers that we got like recently, like earlier in the month, so they're not old. He took that and then he put it underneath like a big helmet, and then he's like, I made bobbleheads, and it just looks really, he looks like Lord Helmet over from Spaceballs. Such a great movie. Cool. This is drop an all access ticket for F1 race in Paris or something. That would bring people in. I haven't seen an F1 race. Maybe one day. Soon a Ferrari. Remember Ben Ranley announced. That's true. Yeah, we did have Ferrari announced in an article, and no one ever corrected me on it. So I'm fine with that. Have you played any? And I know you do this because it helps the crypto investing by playing certain Web3 games or certain games that are AAA rated that could have blockchain technology involved. When was the last time you played Fortnite?
I think I tried to play it once.
Okay, so not recently.
Yeah.
They have, well, they have all these crazy characters in there. One of the characters is Darth Vader, and they had implemented Darth Vader with AI, and I think the developers knew what they were doing, because obviously it's a large language model, it learns, and all of these like 12-year-old gamers are teaching Darth Vader how to talk, and it has James Earl Jones' voice. So what it did this past week, it said multiple slurs. It threatened to unalive someone in real life. It said Pride Month was for the delusional. It eliminated players on the same side as him for calling him daddy. It said that Spanish is a language used by smugglers. Asked someone if they like Chun-Li's ass, and they made a list of tier of races. So I think the AI, I think the developers know better now than to give their characters AI. But I'm not gonna lie, those are some of the funniest videos like ever. Shout out to O'Milly for being here. Yeah, it was a lucky announcement. Anyway, on the phygitals, the phygitals do really well for us, but I haven't seen any secondary sales of some of the phygitals on the VeVe side. Have you seen those? Anyone that had like a special mint like Funko Pop or the Secret Rare Funko Pop that came out years back, or the drawings from the South Korean artist recently?
Let's say that again.
We've always had really good luck with phygitals, where they tend to really make us sell out, and people get them, but I don't see really a secondary market for those phygitals yet.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, perhaps, and that's usually the case with physicals, except for the ones that just go super viral. So it's like, look, nobody's thinking about crypto right now. We're in a bear market. Wait till crypto goes crazy, and maybe there's a market for those phygitals, those early phygitals then. Like Lori's Louis Vuitton boots. Maybe then, but the higher probability is 20 years down the road. Those early phygitals will be super scarce. Some people have moved and lost them in the move and stuff. And, 20 or 30 years down the road, the digital collectibles movement will have completely happened and be quite far down the road that those will be huge flex pieces then. In the short term, maybe in the bull run, they'll do well, but they're a longer term play.
Yeah. The bond, I remember the bond tickets. Those are great. I wanted to pay a lot of Omi for one, and no one was selling, thank God. So Raul Paul said the other day, talking about lifestyle chips, like when do you take some money off the table to change your life? And he says when your P&L is at significant all-time highs, your shit don't stink, and you think you're a god amongst investors. And he said his best guess is July or August based on liquidity analysis. But he says even then, who knows? That's just liquidity. That's just charts. Sometimes sentiment is all that matters. And you're more of a sentiment trader. So how much does liquidity matter to you, if at all, when trading?
Well, how much does liquidity matter, like right now, or you mean?
When you trade, when you take stuff off the table, because you're more of a sentiment trader, and if the sentiment is really high, I know that's when you sell. But
then liquidity is also really high because sentiment is super high. So it's like people are like, "Oh my gosh, liquidity is so low. I'm never going to be able to exit this stuff." And it's like, it's not going to be like this when you are exiting. If you're exiting when it's smart, there's going to be massive liquidity. Why? Because tons of people are buying. Everybody's buying. Price is going up because too few people are selling. You'll be one of those sellers selling into the massive buying happening if you're doing it right.
Yeah. Currently we have a one way to do leveraged trading on Omi. It's on MEXC. You can't do a lot. You can do, I think, like $500 on like a 10x leverage, but I think within the next half a year, you'll be able to on many other exchanges. Is that something that you've ever tampered with, going and leverage trading, or is that just like, nah, too dangerous?
Unfortunately, I have. It cost me indirectly over $1 million.
Oof.
So
how did you get like wicked out on one trade before?
Yeah. So I put some leverage Bitcoin long, and it was a low leverage long. near the bottom in 2020. And it was pretty low leverage. And I thought, cool. Then it got, so it's about 1.6 Bitcoin, and it got wicked out because the price dropped below my liquidation point. And then it wicked right back up. So I was right in that we were near the bottom, just not at it. And I was right over the medium and long term that it was like going to go up tremendously from there. I was just wrong for like 3 days and got wicked out. And so the Bitcoin I lost, I had some money set aside to buy Cardano if it went under 2 cents. I then had to use like that 10,000 to buy to buy my Bitcoin back. I just lost. And, that Cardano at 2 cents would have gone, like from there it went 150x. So, $1.5 million opportunity cost loss right there.
Damn, I see that. That is rough.
Yeah. So I do leverage every day now. Love it. Just kidding. I was like, you know what? Crypto is so volatile with such potential gains. Don't throw leverage in the picture. Terrible idea.
I've stayed away from it myself.
It does make your life so stressful too. It's not worth the stress.
Yeah, you always have to look at it because, you're like, oh, am I liquidated? Am I done? Yeah, that's hard. David Trotter says, "Hey fellas, do you envision a future where some of the big IPs and partners integrate Omi into any of their individual products? If so, how, what, when, or why?" I would hope that if we're talking about physical products, like at Disney parks, or it doesn't have to be Disney, it could be anyone that has a physical store where they have a little like VeVe setup, like a little place with a background where you could take pictures of your collectibles and AR. I feel like it wouldn't cost too much. You don't really need to maintain it, just a line. But what about you?
That's an interesting question. Maybe down the road. I doubt we'll see that even this bull run, but maybe down the road. Why? Like, it's so recent that corporations even have access or have the okay from their boards to even put any kind of crypto on the books. To then do some kind of deal where it's like, okay, we're going to allow this special thing with Omi, maybe 5 years down the road. It's too early. I think Omi's going to do just fine, and Omi's going to be around for a long time. So maybe down the road. It's just crypto's too new for companies to take those kind of risks. They can barely even have it on their books. And they definitely wouldn't, most companies would not hold something like Omi. If they have approval to put something on their books, it'd be Bitcoin and ETH.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense. We have NFTs the other day had a pretty good day. There was a lot of liquidity, a lot of things went up. Pudgy Penguins, Doodles, Good Vibes, Milady Maker, Lil Pudgies, Bored Ape Yacht Club, Mutant Ape Yacht Club, Redacted Something, and Towel. They all had gone up by several percent. And I was wondering, I know you have not Chaos on the Chains, you have the whatever one that flows on, the Dapper Labs. I forget which one. NFL All Day. I know you have those, but outside of the stuff on Flow and VeVe, the other stuff that you have, is it any of these, like the top tier stuff, or do you just say like, nah?
Say that again.
The top tier stuff, do you bother with any of that, or is there not enough movement for it? As far as like Pudgy Penguins or Doodles or Milady Maker?
I don't. I know, there's some people with a bunch of money that do. And, and they're buying some of the higher ones like Pudgy Penguins, or they're buying CryptoPunks and Bored Apes. And I think they'll do well. Will they do 100x gains from it? No, I doubt it. So I think down the road, some of these things have real lasting values, like CryptoPunks, and they'll be kind of like art pieces down the road that'll have really good value. It's just, number one, say you're spending 100,000, or I think the floor on Bored Ape went to like 50,000 or 100,000 for CryptoPunks, and say, in the bull run that goes to 1.5 million. It's like, oh wow, it went to 1.5 million, but that's really only a 15x. Yeah. So it's like, for me, it's about the multiples. So I want things that can get 20, 40, 50x, or preferably 100 or 200x. I just want the higher multiples. Because then I can always buy one of those later if I want. There'll be a bear market that follows, and during the bear market, maybe they go to 1.5 million. Maybe they come back down to 200, 300,000. Cool. If I want one, then I can.
Cool. Yeah, Bill Gardner, heard from Lori the other day. She was just texting me about something, but yeah, she's around, just not here actively right now, but she will be. Speaking of which, there's as the bull market comes to a head, we're gonna have a return of a lot of YouTubers. Who are you most excited to see come back? My vote would be Taps.
Taps, for sure. Absolutely. I love
so
Taps,
good.
right? And he's just busy with life and his job. Cool guy. Didn't go all weird. Some people are like, oh my gosh, I'm out on VeVe and I'm going to promote XYZ company that's paying me. Cool. You do that. Yeah. You know, some of them will come back to VeVe because that's where the attention and momentum will be. And it's cool. Come back. But like, you know, I love Taps. He's a really smart guy.
Same. He's awesome. With his Rain's guns are getting big. Have you upped your diet? Have you upped the protein intake?
Yeah, I have been eating more protein. I go to the gym 5 to 7 days a week, so that helps.
I finally made an appointment for the VA. Well, I went to urgent care at the VA the other day. But
yes, you did. Everyone saw that picture.
Yeah, I was feeling. They gave me a shot in the butt, and I was feeling good. I had some serotonin because I wasn't in pain for a day. But yeah, I have the Snagadoodles last week. Nice. Yeah, I have that appointment next. I don't know, at some point next month. Yeah, it's during NFC conference. I was like, all right, if I wasn't, I'm definitely not going now. NFC conference, but in a few months after I get corrected and they fix me up, I'll be back in the gym, and I can't wait. I'm very, very excited about that. Yeah, we're thinking VeVe might have an F1. We're thinking. We're not sure, but that's our idea right now. There is a push with other NFT projects to, and I've been calling for this for years, and we finally have one. We have a rating channel now, where anyone that goes in and they comment anything, whether it's on NFTs, any type of alt tokens, what's your 100x gem, whatever. We finally have that over on Telegram. I think that's probably one of the most important things that we don't have yet that we're finally getting to make. But for you, when you talk about things that VeVe hasn't done yet, that they likely will, what's going to be the best thing for Omi?
Wait, what?
It would be so as far as stuff that VeVe has yet to roll out that will affect Omi in a positive way, what do you think is most important?
Okay, so what on their timeline that VeVe hasn't rolled out yet will help Omi the most?
Yeah, it could be something announced or not announced.
I think we'll see how much the VeVeverse behaves like a metaverse, but that would be helpful. So when the metaverse play hits, that VeVe and by extension Omi really hits during that time. So that would be a big play. Like overall, like Omi's going to do just fine. I know a lot of people are tired, they're frustrated. Oh my gosh, when Omi go up, why doesn't VeVe talk about Omi all the time? If they did, they think somehow the price would magically go up 100x from here. No, you're just waiting for the bull market and for certain narratives to pop off. And when that pops off, Omi will get cascading green candles of people buying, because VeVe has done such a good job lining up the IP and the kind of digital collectibles I think people are going to want. So there are some cool things that could go well. If nothing new came out, I still think Omi does tremendously well in the bull market when the NFT and then digital collectibles narrative hits. So, but would I like to see the VeVeverse be more like a metaverse that people could interact, go in the same room? I think that'd be helpful. That way, when the metaverse narrative hits too, it gives like another leg to Omi.
Agreed. That's what I'm waiting on. I can't wait. Any fun speculation on what announcement or what might be announced, discussed at Lisbon NFC Summit?
I mean, you might have more information on that than I would.
I guess for me, I would say, I don't know if they'll announce it there, but I would expect an Omi only drop at some point. over on Sacker, where it's just Omi, it just burns it. The easiest way that they could do that would be with Dr. Profit, Puddin Cheeks, and Foster, because Profit and Foster have already said, like, yeah, we'll waive our fees to it. They could use our likeness. Puddin hasn't confirmed that he would do that yet, but I see no reason why he wouldn't, especially if it's to burn Omi, because he probably has some. And in that way, I think they could do that, whether they announce that at Lisbon or before then, probably not. But you had a video last week where the founders were like, hey, here's a new founder for VeVe. It's going back to a founder-led project, and they only focused on VeVe and not one mention of Omi. And people were a little salty about that. So I understand, but what would you rather have? Would you rather have Omi just be a small little footnote in a VeVe video, or would you rather have Omi and Omi be its own video? For me, I would say Omi and Omi being its own video. Now, whether they give us one of those or not, I don't know. But maybe they beta test it over in Lisbon. Maybe they go and they have a video and they show it only to the people who are there, and they say, shh, this comes out on Monday. But that would be my guess of what they could do to bring fun back.
Interesting.
So, have you ever been to have you ever had a sales job?
Mm-hmm.
So for sales, as you know, but for those of you that don't, it's a lot of salespeople are animals. And I mean that in the best way, but there's a lot of debauchery, there's a lot of tomfoolery. And and sometimes shops can get toxic where it's just all about the grind and all about the sales, and you don't have fun. And every now and then a good boss will say, like, okay, we're all going to strip club, we're all getting body sushi, we're all doing, shots, whatever. And I feel like this is what David and Dan might need to do. They might need to not take us to strip clubs or anything, but make it fun again. Make it have like type of Omi rewards, Omi games, and back in the day they would just hop into a Telegram chat and say stuff every now and then. Now obviously they're way too busy for that, but going in and posting like a 10-second video, and I don't know. Do you remember when there was we had confirmed cars over on VeVe, like the Pixar cars?
When we had confirmed it, yeah.
Yeah, like back in the day, like there was a little thing of Lightning McQueen, and it was like
And
so
that we
small.
knew that they had cars. Yeah.
Like I feel like something like that, like give something like that, then and let the community. And maybe that's what they're doing with Minecraft. Maybe it's evolving. I don't know. Shout out to Abe saying first one here again. So obviously, I would love a 4 Omi 0. I would too. I'd go and get a bunch. Unfortunately, I don't think there'd be a ton of liquidity over there. Which, speaking of which, anyone that watched my channel last week knows that I had a whale that was about to purchase like $250,000 worth of Omi, and then he legit backed out. He hasn't purchased any. He's like, there's no liquidity on this token. And I tried to like set up an OTC deal with him with one of my whales that I know has a huge tax bill, and the whale kind of agreed, and the guy's just like, it's too late now, it's gone. It's like, damn. But yeah, so maybe selfishly we do get it at 4 zeros, in which case if there is some liquidity, I don't think they'll be at 4 zeros for long, but who knows? It's okay.
Yeah, it could go to that, because what often happens is Bitcoin goes crazy as people like panic out. Oh my gosh, why am I sitting in this token that's done nothing but go down? And they panic out and they buy Bitcoin, which, by then will be like 120,000, and they think they'll be making a smart trade. And they'll have literally sold right near the bottom. And then Omi at some point goes like 300x from there, and Bitcoin might even go to 500,000, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I bought it for 120 and it went to 500, and it's like, cool. Meanwhile, what they sold out, it went 200 or 300 or 400x, and that happens all the time.
Yeah. Wes, don't lie. We're gonna delete that comment there. So how much Omi do we both own now? What was your latest at so I'm up to like 220-ish. Price. What I'm not gonna say like a timeline, but blow off top. I'd say 2 to 4 cents, give or take. If that's like my base case. Obviously, there's a bear case where it goes below that. There's a bull case and a golden goose egg above that, depending on what stuff happens. But if even like, let's say like 1 to 4 cents, I'll buck it down another penny, just because the VeVe tends to be slow at rolling things out, especially now that they no longer have Ben that's going to kind of maybe push him. That would be my guess. What about yourself?
Yeah, I've got 280 Omi, and I think it goes to over its previous highs of 1.4 cents. So 2, 3, 5, 10 cents, maybe 20 cents. I don't know. I do think at a certain point Omi goes very viral, because I think VeVe goes very viral. I think this idea of digital collectibles are superior to physical collectibles, and I think it catches some massive traction this bull run.
Agreed. Yeah, Lomit Mick has been floating a bunch of waltz. I'm not 100% sure why he's been doing that. Maybe he's making a big play on a Star Wars thing. He tends to kind of hop from one thing to the other. He never really sticks at one thing for very long. Sometimes if you happen to buy something before he does, he runs the price up. You can sell for higher. But if you buy something right after he does, he like clockwork, like every couple of months. All right, I'm going to sell this now and then buy into this thing. Man has like unlimited gems. It's nuts. But that was quiet. Yeah, they have been quiet. I was very proud of the VeVe fam 2 days ago, where everyone was trying to find Bruce Clark Kent, and the fudders, even the fudders, were just like, "Hey man, I hope he's all right," or "Hey man, hope he's good." Obviously had a sad ending, but silver lining is that even some of the fudders seem to have at least a little bit of a soul. Yeah, I don't know what they do when they're not fudding. Yeah, what do you think they do?
So what's funny is, like, life is so short, and a lot of people spend so much of their time on their fears, and that's where the fudders are at, right? Like, they spend so much time on their fears and they're just worried, and it's almost like when they're training pilots to fly through the canyon, they tell them not to focus on the walls because you go where you focus on. And yeah, the fudders like keep hitting the canyon walls over and over and again. They're like, oh, the canyons are stupid and planes are stupid. And it's like, oh, you're getting out of life what you're creating. You're creating this problem for you. Of course, you're not going to do well in crypto. Just leave crypto now. You just don't have the right mindset to be successful in this space. It's going to wreck you over and over and over again. Not because there is an opportunity here. It's because you're going to do it all wrong. You're running your life based on your fears, and your fears are going to tell you to buy high because you got fear of missing out. And then they're going to tell you to panic out the bottom. And then it's going to tell you to complain about the project. If only the project owners had done this and this and this, everything would have been out fine. They're in the wrong space. They need to go spend some time in personal development. When they get that right, maybe they can consider coming back. Problem is, there's nothing stopping them from coming in this space. So what will they do? When there's massive green candles, they will come in and buy. And then, then when it drops down and they didn't take profits, they'll end up selling at a loss.
Just like clockwork, rinse and repeat. There's we had some news of the top 500 hodlers. Gary O at 1234CA3 on Twitter was pumped because he made it onto the top 500 with most positions climbed. He purchased 351 collectibles, and it moved him up 67 spots. So that dude is a mad lad. People, I like the gamification. Do you do any of the VeVe challenge where you get points on the app for like commenting stuff and liking stuff and listing and stuff? Or is that like, not really gonna be worth it? Because I have not done that.
I went in a couple times and did that, and I'm so particular with my time. I'm like, I can't be bothered. So if the activity doesn't pay me hundreds of dollars per hour, doesn't lead to something that pays me directly or indirectly hundreds of dollars per hour, I just can't justify it. I'm like, I know. Would I have before? Maybe. Like, back in 2018, 2019, maybe. Why my time was less valuable if the opportunity cost of my time was less valuable. So now it's just like, I just can't afford to do that. I could be playing off the grid with that time. And off the grid, if I were to try to quantify, maybe it pays me $1 worth of value that I can accrue through getting items that I can later sell for guns tokens. at $1 per hour right now, but that's what the value would be right now. You take that into a bull market of when I would be selling, and it's probably 100 to 200 or 300 times that. So it's like, well, I could be spending all my time playing that at $100 or $200 or $300 an hour, even though it might only be paying me $1 or $2 or $3 per hour now. I'm not selling now. I'm selling when crypto goes crazy and people are coming in paying ridiculous money for those items. So it's like, if I'm going to put on that time logging into VeVe every day and doing stuff, it's like, what does that add up to? Oh, you could win this competition. Okay, what does that prize lead to? I don't know. Like,
yeah, good call.
You know, in life, all we have is time, right? So it's like, I read this book when I was 20-something years old. It's like the 4-hour work week. And he's like, why do we work 40 hours a week? Some countries 50, you know, some people like 60. Why do we do that? It's like, oh, because like that's what you're supposed to do. And he's like, what if you get your time so valuable that you can spend 4 hours working and you're able to accrue enough income in those 4 hours that you can spend very well in your life and have time freedom, so you can choose to do with your life what you want rather than, oh, I got to clock in 60 hours every week. I was like, that is a really good question. So I was always looking for that opportunity, right? And I thought real estate would be that. When I found crypto, I was just like, crypto is accelerated. If you're buying when the market's way low and you're selling when the market's way high, you can just make crazy amounts of money in shorter time. And that gives you time freedom, like kind of what the book was talking about.
Agreed. I have not done much. I have 38 points out of 673, so everyone's beating me. But I got to shout out the people that are there: KCBMW, Flash Inc., Time VV 18 for being the top 3. Good for y'all. There's on a flight somewhere, everyone was watching the World Cup except for one person that was watching Lord of the Rings, and I was like, yeah, my man.
That's funny.
He knows. Binance founder CZ says that investing in crypto is risky, but not investing in crypto is also risky, and I would say even more so. To the people that are new here, to the ones that are kind of just, what do you have to say to them if they're scared, if they're uneasy, if they're worried about, like, oh, well, what if I lose it? What if I invest in something and it goes down?
So in life, we're balancing risks all the time. Oh, I could throw that money into the S&P 500. And Raoul Pal talks about this all the time. Between inflation and money devaluation, you're losing 10% on your money per year. If the S&P 500 continues to do 11% a year, which I don't think in the future it will continue to do 11%, but let's say it does, you're really just treading water. You're not getting ahead. Okay, so what else can you invest in? Real estate might outperform that, especially the money devaluation, because real estate tends to pace with that. Real estate increases, so it'll usually outpace inflation. So you can get ahead by real estate over 20 or 30 or 40 years. Crypto is our chance. Here's the challenge with crypto. 89% of people lose money or make no money at all in crypto. 89%. So it's like, if you're going to do this, take it very seriously, and you need to learn what the 89% are doing and do the opposite of what they're doing. Because if you come in and just do what they're doing, it's going to go poorly for you. Now, 6% make some money, and the remaining 5% that really understand what's going on here, they make life-changing gains. So what do those 5% do? Different. That's what my channel is based on. What are those 5% that make incredible gains do? And give you the time freedom that you're looking for, because sure, crypto is risky. Driving your car is risky. Getting an airplane is risky. We're always juggling risks. So is there a way that you can figure out the crypto game? Because it is just a game where the odds are stacked for you much more than they are against you, and take those kind of bets? Well, yeah, that's exactly what you can find. And even though the odds are stacked for you, sometimes you're going to lose. But if you're finding opportunities where the odds are stacked for you and you're doing diversifying across a number of them, chances are high you're going to do really well over time.
Agreed. Jason, this is Rain. Sounds like MCPs are not worth your time at the moment. Randy, how can MCP points pull Rain in? If they're, I don't know, Rain, I know you have over 1 million points. Do you have over 2 million?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 1 million point thing wouldn't really matter to you as much because you have 2 of them. But if there was something that you had to sacrifice 2 million points for, and it was, and I don't even want to say if it's going to be like worth much, because the intrinsic value for that, it's not going to be like, if you say it's going to be worth like 10 grand, yeah, it might be worth it to, because MCP movements aren't really going to do much for you after you use them, so you might as well just cash in for that 10 grand. But if it's something that maybe doesn't have an exact monetary value, or it's hard to quantify, but it comes with utility, and the utility is just like a call with David twice a month, to be able to like pick his brain. Like, I feel like that, because the value you can get out of that is almost invaluable. So I would say that would be something that would maybe make you care about it. But
yeah. If I could get a call twice a month with David for like the next 15 years for trade in for 2 million master collector points, all of a sudden I get real serious about master collector points. Like, I was talking to Randy about this. Like, am I bummed I wasn't in like the first 100 to get MC level 100 or whatever, the first 50 that they get lifetime benefits? I'm like, yes, because I put all that money into Omi, versus if I'd put all that money into VeVe instead, it would have worked out easily. I would have been one of the first 50 very easily. And it's like, well, I'll have to the reason I put it into Omi, because that's a really good benefit. Really cool thing that David did, and I think Sanjay helped with that decision. Amazing. Sanjay, you're golden. Really cool thing, great utility, amazing for those to really get people to put money into that. So am I a bit salty? A tiny bit, but it was a conscious choice of like, well, shoot, I could redirect everything into VeVe and go this route, but Omi's just so cheap. And so I'll have to console myself when, like, we have a mutual friend, Ernie, who's definitely in the first 50 to get it. And, so he'll go to that dinner and be like, oh, I talked to David and he, dropped us this alpha and he gave us this collectible. And I'll be like, crap. Well, with the money I made from Omi, I'm just going to console myself with going out and buying another Lamborghini, because you hurt my feelings here. And so I'm going to get over it by, driving the new Lamborghini that I bought because of the Omi gains. Like, so it's like, yeah, it was a conscious decision. I think that that value that they added to like the first 50 to get that, and the value that they added to the gold and silver logo is amazing. And they haven't done much for Omi holders that way. They really haven't. But the reason I still bought Omi anyway, even though they haven't done all that stuff, is because I think Omi's too cheap right now. And one of the core principles of making serious money as an investor is buy it when it's way too cheap and then sell it when it's way too high. And so that's why I've put so much into Omi, because it's just been way too cheap.
That's the name of the game. I wonder if you say like you would console yourself by buying a Lamborghini, and I feel like I'm so like, I'll say ghetto, but I would console myself by getting like Taco Bell, and there's a little bit of a price difference there.
Slight. I don't know. After Biden was president for a few years, Taco Bell almost cost you a Lamborghini.
Yeah, it's true. It was rough times.
I'm just kidding. Biden didn't make it that bad, but
No, I mean, because I don't want to spend my Omi right now. It's like Rain said, it's too cheap. If it corrects and it does like a 5x, then yeah, I'll go in and I'll sweep some floors on Stacker with Omi, because at that point, the collectibles hopefully wouldn't have gone up by then, and I could stack pretty cheaply, and I could kind of not leverage trade. Yeah, that's called. One into the other. It would be that arbitrage advantage, and then hopefully that goes up, Omi goes down, and do it again. I think
this time they'll go up closer to each other. It was really abnormal that Omi spiked so much in March, but then the collectibles really, the market wasn't even working, in March of 2021. So like the collectibles couldn't freely easily be tradable again. They shut it down and weren't tradable again for a little while. So we don't know how to perform, but that would be amazing if there was that kind of thing where Omi went completely crazy, and imagine the floors on the collectibles is still the same dollar value that they're at now. Oh boy, that would be the sweetest thing ever. I would love that. I don't expect that will be the case, but that would be amazing.
Agreed. So there was a quote the other day saying that the best NFT projects have turned into real IP. Now VeVe has the best IP, but it's kind of licensed out already. It's not theirs. How important do you think it is for VeVe to develop their own brand of character? They could even call him Dave. They have a little character with perfect hair, calls himself Dave, and he goes on these collecting adventures. And maybe they have to spend, a couple $100,000 a year making it, but then at least they have their own IP. Is that something that's worth it in the future? Because then you don't necessarily have to rely on a lot of other specific IP that's not yours? Or do you think that's a waste and be like, hey, listen, they're going to come to VeVe or they're not, regardless of whether they have their own IP? I was curious of your thoughts.
Wait, say the beginning part of that question.
It was said the other day that some of the most influential NFTs in the world right now have become IP. Like they have become their own intellectual property.
Board API and Pudgy Penguins and stuff.
So is it important for VeVe to kind of step up their game and spend maybe 100 or 200,000 trying to create their own brand of IP instead of relying on others, or does it not matter?
Interesting question. Their goal is to be the massive marketplace of digital collectibles. So spending a lot on their IP might drive away some people that would otherwise list with them. Maybe it doesn't. But I don't. That's a great question, Randy. And I can't say I'm thinking through the potential answers on that. Kind of did with their VeVe gold and silver logos, so they could showcase some of the different things that you could do and some of the different like use cases you could give things, which I think was really, really smart. And so kind of they have, but not in the same way of like cute little fuzzy characters that are VeVe characters. I don't think at this point it's that important. I think just continue being the marketplace for digital collectibles and IP to come on there. I think they're onto something that like NFTs kind of have their own place, but digital collectibles is similar but different. And they're creating like a metaverse that you can put them in. I do think this idea of digital collectibles goes crazy and that they're the massive leader in it. And to continue swinging away at becoming the biggest marketplace, getting more IP on there, and they'll stick around in perpetuity. That other one introduced cost expenses towards a direction that's a risk. So I would say I wouldn't worry about that right now if it were my decision. I'd keep trying to grow the main thing that you're amazing at, because they can always add that in later.
Yeah.
After they become this global marketplace, and then they can launch the VeVe cartoon with, whatever, cute characters and stuff.
Speaking of which, SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce says that the existing crypto assets, most of them are not securities, and urges a clear, workable regulatory framework to replace the agency's past enforcement-driven approach. Should, at this point, VeVe and Omi say, like, okay, let's turn on some buybacks, let's turn on some burns, let's turn on some this, or should they wait X amount of months for the stuff to actually be written into law?
Still wait, yeah. Love that, right? We all miss Mr. Burns in the SEC. I mean, did I say that? I mean, Gary Gensler, we all miss him tremendously. Thank goodness, some reason. Like, the truth is, like, Gary Gensler was operating with whatever her name was. What was Senator Karen's name? She was on the floor, like, freaking out about the stablecoin bill and trying to, guilt Democrat colleagues into, like, switching their vote. I forget her name. Senator Karen is a perfect name for her. I think Trump calls her that. Anyway, she's been super anti-crypto. And I heard there was some deal made. Oh, Elizabeth Warren, if she threw her support behind Joe Biden, that she would get to be important related to what decisions were made versus the SEC. And so that somewhat she had a leash on Gary Gensler, which would explain his very, very anti-crypto stance and duplicitous stance. Oh, yeah, we love crypto. We're just trying to protect everyone, while they were doing everything they could to destroy it, right? Instead of suing Cardano and saying, you're an unregistered security, they sued Coinbase and said, oh my gosh, you bad boys, you listed all these things that would be a security. And what they're hoping is all exchanges would then delist or take U.S. citizens off their exchanges as a risk. And most of them did. It accomplished exactly what they were trying to do. They weren't, anyway, their actions showed a very different intent than what their stated intent was. And their stated intent, their actions showed intent to destroy crypto except for central bank digital currency. And so Comey had to be super smart on how they played it and stay out of sight when the machine gun is firing. Now, some people are like, oh, the machine gun is silent. It's like, yeah, it is. And probably you're okay, but just don't put a target on your back. Just wait till the regulations are clear so that you have like a green light that the firing is done for sure.
Good point. I hope we don't have to wait too much longer, but that genius bill, the stablecoin bill that did pass yesterday. So hopefully we get we're slowly making our way down there. You have Chief Atkins saying that he wanted SEC restraints to custody and trade both securities and non-securities under one roof. So it sounds like the clarity will get a bit more clear. Senator Warren's Pocahontas.
My girlfriend, oh my gosh, I would break up with someone so fast. My tolerance for women that show up like she does is 0. Not only would I break up with her, I would never allow her to come to any of my events ever again. And if she was going to be there, I wouldn't go to her because I don't have tolerance for people like that in my life at all.
I saw one video of Elizabeth Warren where a buddy of mine shared it to me because he likes her, and it's like, dude, look how chill she is. And she was like drinking a beer, like trying to like fit in with
that she was cool.
And I was like, dude, like you can't just like give someone a beer and automatically think they're cool. Like it doesn't work like that. Yeah.
No, she is really cool to you if you give her a position on your board that pays her $1 million a year and she comes to one board meeting a year, she'll probably be your best friend.
Probably. Yeah. There's a bunch of people buying up, and I don't know if I don't know how the traction the Pelosi Act got, where the Congress can't trade stocks. I don't know if it passed the House yet or not. But you have a bunch of these people that they're not buying stocks, but they're buying Bitcoin, they're buying this crypto. And it's mostly just the top 10. When do we see that kind of fall or flow into other altcoins that are not in the top 10, that are maybe in the top 100, top 500?
What, they can't trade like the altcoins like the Congress people can't either?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's the right answer to make it so Congress people can't trade stocks, because they do have right, this is the Nancy Pelosi effect. But technically, Nancy Pelosi doesn't trade any stocks. Her husband just happens to be one of the most legendary traders of all time. So she wouldn't even be disqualified by that bill. That's what they call like a fake out. Yeah. That's where John McCain says we're going to pass campaign finance reform. And the bill actually did the opposite of reform campaign finance. What it really was the Incumbent Protection Act. So it's harder for new people to come in and unseat the incumbent. But if they called it the Incumbent Protection Act, well, then, shoot, they wouldn't get public support behind it. So, look, this bill, they all know the game they're playing. Oh, look at us. We're going to make it so we can't trade stocks. They're already trading them through their spouse. And if they don't have a spouse, they have a brother.
Good point.
If they don't have a brother, they have a son. Looking at you, Joe Biden. That they pull these shenanigans through. So, oh yeah, everything's legal, right? So when Bill Clinton was president, everything was done under Hillary's name. Why? It's just a little shell game they play. And so, like, if you draw these rules, I don't think throwing more rules on is going to change the behavior. In fact, throwing more rules on, they'll use those rules to put in jail the people who aren't part of the corruption. They'll find some little loophole to use that rule to throw in somebody who's actually not part of the corruption, because someone who's part of the corruption, they're not going to enforce it on. So I don't like the rules. I don't like it. And like, I don't want to see them make it so they can't hold Bitcoin and all this stuff. Like, because otherwise the shady are just going to hide it anyway. Like, how are so many worth so much? I hope Doge looks into that. So at least we can have transparency. What I'd really just like is more transparency. Okay. You know, let's all see what, you know, Nancy Pelosi should be able to make all her own trades under her own name. You know, let's have it disclosed exactly what her and her husband are buying, exactly when they buy it, so that everyone can see. So if, you know, Americans want to copy trade Nancy Pelosi's husband, why not? But I don't want rules that they can't trade, because the corrupt will just hide it anyway, and they won't get it enforced against him. Why? Because they're corrupt. And, you know, there's the corrupt in Washington will protect the other corrupt in Washington. So let's just make it more transparent. That's all I ask for.
That's fair. I would agree. And so it's got to be a big bag of Omi tokens. Got to be a huge bag. Call me Philly saying, well, they didn't make the Patriot Act for Patriot. That's a fair point. They did not. They
need to abolish that shit, in my opinion. What it was Government Can See All Your Transactions Act. It's like, oh, government, we're so worried about terrorism. Okay, is that the case? I thought it was at the time. I was like, okay, they're making a good argument there. I know something's wrong here, but I can't articulate what it is. Okay, under Obama, he flies $9 billion of cash on pallets to Iran. What do you think that money was used for? Terrorism.
Off the book.
Do they care about funding terrorism? They just showed you they don't. What they do care about is seeing where all your transactions go. That's what the Patriot Act allows them to see, all kinds of funding and everything, and track where everyone's money is going, because they clearly don't care about not funding terrorists. Because then Trump came in, is like, no more money to Iran, and he starved them, and they were like about to get overthrown by their own people because like they weren't getting funding. And then Joe Biden comes in, is like, flew billions more to them in cash ballots. Like, clearly they don't care about not funding terrorists. These rules are for other things. What all? Who knows? Like, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but it doesn't seem to me by their actions that they're really against not funding terrorism. Why else would you fly $9 billion to Iran in cash? Like, what else is that going to be used for in cash? You can't even put any controls on it when you fly pallets of cash to them other than terrorism, except funding terrorism. So don't sell me on this. We just want to make sure that terrorists can't attack you when they're flying $9 billion in cash pallets to a known terrorist sponsor.
There's a lot of crazy times, a lot of crazy things that you may or may not see on the job, in the military. Senator Karen, yeah. We love making fun of people. There's been a bunch of things that Elon had posted a picture of Tesla stock going up, like I think like X amount of months to the date after Senator Tim Walz had said like, haha, Tesla stock is going down and now it's up 50%. It's like, hey Tim, how's your day going? I thought that was fun. Green New Deal is the Green New Deal. Oh, bro, that thankfully even people in our own party thought that was a trash bill, so we're fine there. We're safe. They can't hurt us anymore.
It was that and all this like climate change fear. Do you remember when I was growing up? They're like, oh my gosh, the coming ice age is going to wipe us all out. So in other words, global cooling. I'm like, dang, I didn't know any better. I was like, man, that's worrisome. Like, oh, this ice age is going to like kill everybody. And then it was like, wait. No, actually, they didn't even tell you, wait, no ice age. All of a sudden, they're like, oh my gosh, global warming is going to destroy us. Hole in the ozone layer and global warming are going to destroy us. We're all going to die. We're all going to get skin cancer because the hole in the ozone layer and global warming. I was like, wait. But I have this thing called a memory that's like, weren't we just going to all freeze to death? Now we're going to like bake in an oven. And they were telling us it's because all the pollution in the atmosphere is going to cause the coming ice age. And then they're like, all the pollution in the atmosphere is going to fry us. And then global temperature started going down again. So then they had this brilliant idea that's like, you know what, we're just going to call it climate change. Because, gosh, we look like idiots because we're trying to sell everyone on this ice age. Then we're trying to sell everybody on like the warming. And so then they're like, oh my gosh, climate change is like, yeah, but you should be very scared. Scared of, well, it's changing. Well, I was looking at some historical stuff, and way back in history, it was like way hotter than it is now. And other times it was way colder than it is now. Can you tell me what direction it's even heading right now? No, but you should be scared. Scared of, like, are we heating now? Are we cooling? I don't remember. What is the current thing? Are we like going to die from like overheating and the whole world is going to be like covered with the ocean because the ice caps melt? Or are we on a cooling trend again? I don't know, but be scared. Like, that's how you know it's a political sales job, to get people to put funds towards things that they can then funnel to their corrupt things. You know, you think back to like, you know, some churches, and we won't name any churches, but churches has sometimes been used for control. And it's like, the volcano went off. It's because you weren't paying enough to the coffers of the church. It's no different. You know, it's a religion, right? It's like, you know what? Because you didn't say your prayers and donate enough to the coffers of the church, God is mad. Volcano blew up. And if you had just paid more money, so then they would scare everyone to death to put money in the coffers. And that's what I see this climate change bullshit as. It was global cooling. Now it's global warming. Now it's just climate change because some people like me have memories, and you can't fool me by saying coming ice age, global warming. If they said coming ice age again, I'd be like, wait. So they just call it climate change, but they can't tell me what I should be scared of. It's like Al Gore said New York would be underwater by 2000. He won a Nobel Prize for saying that. Okay, I just don't believe these people. It's just a scam. It's just a scam to get you so they can take money, give it to their causes, which really gets redirected towards them anyway. And I'm sad people don't have memory, so they buy into this shit. I just say, look, if you're buying into all that stuff, investing probably not right for you either, because if you can't see the bigger picture on that, you're probably missing some bigger pictures in business, because some companies lie, some companies misdirect, sometimes companies get in bed with governments, and you're learning to see through that so you can figure out what the smart investments are, what the smart investments aren't.
And part of the problem is that some of what they say is true. Yeah, temperature changes. Like, the Earth is a very old and mysterious place, and we're going in this weird universe at X amount of, I don't know how many millions of miles an hour. So yes, the Earth temperature does change, but
that's the beauty of their argument, because they're like, you're a climate change denier. It's like, we can all look historically and see that the climate's changed. And they're like, but men are accelerating it. And it's like, aha. But let me ask you, are we accelerating it towards the hot or the cold? Well, I don't know, but we're accelerating it.
And the amounts
maybe we are, but maybe we're accelerating it towards actually a better situation, because you can't even tell me what temperature is the Earth supposed to be. Like, it was in history sometimes way hotter and sometimes way colder. What temperature is it supposed to be? Are we accelerating it towards the ideal temperature or away from that? Well, they don't know, because it's not truly based on science. It's a political scare game, and a bunch of people fall for it because they haven't learned how to think for themselves.
And when you have such a wide margin of error, that if the scaling of the margin of what we're doing now, the margin of error is this wide, even if you try to do something in the correct way, and you do it for you try to scale it out for 10 or 20 years, that margin of error becomes so huge that you have no idea if what you're doing is even working. So it doesn't really help to tax the people. They'll try to, just to get more money. But yeah, wild.
No,
Well,
it's just it's an excuse for a new tax so the government can save you. But that money's not being used to save you. It's being used for corrupt purposes, like their own little scams and their own way to profit on it, and the way to redirect the money to fund their campaigns, because they give that money to nonprofits or non-governmental organizations, which are funded by the government. So that's a little misnomer they purposely misdirect you with. They're governmental organizations. And then they redirect that in campaign contributions to themselves. And it's the Incumbent Protection Act stuff. The incumbent protect their power. And so you almost can't get them out because they have too much control of funds. And so it's to protect. Well, how do you think some of these senators stay in office, even they're complete nitwits for 50 years? Like, what was the recent senator in the Republican side? Oh my gosh, he was so old. The turtle, Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell.
Like, what the hell? This guy is corrupt. Yeah, but you couldn't get him out because he had so much power and so much control. It was so hard to get him out, and because then they direct funds, which then companies open their purses and campaign contributions to them. And so it's just so hard to get them defeated, right? So Trump at least pushed that he wouldn't be the leader of the Senate, which neutered his power and ability to get more funds redirected to him. And the guy's going senile anyway, but what the hell with these professional politicians that spend 50 to 70 years in Washington, D.C. They need to end that. They term limit these fuckers. I don't want to see them in professional politics more than 12 years. Why? Because they need to go out and get a real job and live by the rules they set for everyone else.
Preach.
Then all of a sudden that will end a bunch of the corruption and a bunch of the scams, right? The only reason they can get away with these scams, they're in office so long because there's no kind of term limits that they're able to steer that money. They would try to scam the population so much less. If they're in for such a shorter amount of time, they don't have the time to get in there, make the connection, steer the funds. They're like, crap, I have to be out. I'm term limited anyway after 12 total years. There's just going to be far less scams they're trying to sell to their people.
There's have you seen the video where Mitch McConnell freezes, where he kind of forgets where he is, and then someone touches his back, and then it they reboot him and they turn him. Yeah, it's wild. Dude, there's this guy, I forget his name, but it was just on CNN the other day. He's coming out with a book saying he knew of Biden's mental health, and so many people did, and the cover up, and I've been waiting for this, been waiting to see, and I feel bad. I even posted the other day on Facebook. I was like, listen, it came out that Biden has prostate cancer. I was like, I hope he gets better. I hope he gets because at the end of the day, it's not him that was doing all this. They were just abusing an old man at that point. So I was like, I hope he gets better. But I
have a warm place in my heart for most people. There's some weird stuff about Biden related to kids that I hope is just wrong. And if it is wrong, then he has a warm place in my heart. That's if it is right, sorry, my heart is totally cold towards him because I just don't have much patience for that. So it's whatever. I don't know. God knows the answer, and God will hold him accountable to what it is. Hope it goes well for him with God, because that means there weren't weird things related to kids. So that's all I'll say for him.
There was a really strange reaction on I don't even want to say strange because I understand why. It was a bunch of these people that just half a decade ago, they were not allowed to say goodbye to their loved ones, grandma, grandpa, and they thought their grandparents thought that they hated them because they would visit them. So then I saw people saying well, I have, I don't wish this on him, but I have no sympathy for him because of these laws. I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And yeah, world is such a crazy place.
Yeah, some people think, number one, the world only gets better, which is not true. We have some technology in the past that we can't even replicate today. So at some point, huge amounts of technology was lost through usually wars and devastation, maybe natural disasters. If there was a flood, and the whole world was covered with water, and nobody survived but Noah and the people who got on the ark with him. Well, that would have wiped out a whole lot of technology. You know, the libraries of Alexandria were burned, and like what was lost in there, I don't know. So technology does not only move forward, sometimes it moves back. Like if there's a global nuclear war, I'll move it back. But also, like, some people are like, it's worse than it's ever been. It's like, that's not true. Like, actually, the world is quite good. Like, the amount of war going across the world is actually quite low compared to history, because free markets have allowed men to compete with other men without having to kill them. That they can compete for resources in a mostly free market. And I wish the markets were free or with less government involvement. But that's where corruption enters in, that, you know, either those who govern cheat or those who run businesses cheat, and they get in bed together to give themselves an unfair advantage. That happens, unfortunately, but it's, let's just say, somewhat of a free market or mostly free market. And so if somebody is poor, they don't have to raise an army and destroy other towns in order to become rich. They can create a business idea that moves technology forward, create something, and then become massively wealthy, like Mark Zuckerberg. And so it's given people an avenue that's very productive for the rest of the world to become rich. And that's a great thing. So the amount of war that's happening across the world is quite low historically. I think, like, obviously the planet seems so small now because of air travel and other things. But I would say per capita that probably war is much less than it usually is, you know. So like, that's good. There's a lot of first world countries that for the most part are very rarely in wars and very rarely losing a bunch of their population. And that's probably way less than most every time in history.
Yeah, a lot of psyops are wild. A lot of things. So there's and it's so strange that how Elon Musk said like a month ago, usually the preparation for the next war is by trying to prepare of what would have won the last war. And it's like, we need to actually think, how would the next war be fought? And it'd be like AI, it'd be like drones, and it reminded me of Leon Meganson, who's he gets, they take his quote and they quote it to Darwin, where I say it's not he who is the fastest or the strongest, but he who's most adaptable to change. And it's weird nowadays that how even just like 30 years, like 20 years ago, if you were just like a strong, fit young guy, like, that's it. You got women, and nerds couldn't touch you. But nowadays, if you're like this weird kid but has like 30,000 followers on Instagram or whatever, suddenly you're like, oh, who is he? And now that you have to, I feel like bad for like some of these kids that like are doing the right thing. They're working hard, they're loyal, and they're working out and they're strong, but they don't do social media because a lot of it is toxic, and they're losing to these guys that are just like, they're just like important, and it's a wild thing to see. It's a really crazy like evolution.
Well, so what's funny is I'm going to say some unpopular things, but just because they're unpopular does not mean they're not true. So what are women attracted to? Really, power. Power. Often power used for good, but not always power used for good. Some women are just attracted to raw power. So now, 50 years ago, someone born in a poor family was not likely to create something by being a skinny nerd and a computer software that could make him $1 billion and give him massive economic power. But that's a possibility now. So some computer nerd in his basement that's scrawny in every other way develops massive economic power, which is then attractive. So the guy who's working out at the gym, 40 hours a week in his job and is making $20,000 a year, he has some power. He'll do well with some ladies that are like, well, he's got good physical power. But if that same lady gets invited to the billionaire's yacht, oh, she's going to the billionaire's yacht because the amount of power differential is gigantic. Now, should that billionaire, like Jeff Bezos, has gone through, like trying to go through an upgrade, but he's got a very kind of I'd say he's working on his personal skills and social dynamic skills better, but like he got divorced. It's like, well, shoot, he's actually created more power than almost any more economic power than almost anybody on earth. Why would any woman divorce him? And it's like, well, number one, the grass always looks greener to whatever woman. Like, why the F would somebody divorce Tom Brady? And yet it just happened because he's one of the most manly, masculine men out there as far as what he's accomplished. Well, because sometimes the grass looks greener. And if you're not doing the right things, you can create massive economic wealth like Jeff Bezos did and still get divorced. You can be Tom Brady and still get divorced. So like women are attracted to power, and economic power is a thing.
You ever see the movie Spaceballs?
Yeah. It's been forever though.
Where Lord
Abe says women love firemen. They do love firemen.
They do. Abe's got it going on.
Well,
Abe.
a lot of firemen work out a lot because just the way their job works out, they're incentivized to, and they do. And so they look great, have a uniform, and they rescue people. So I would say more than not, women are attracted to men who use their power for good. But women love a hero. And what are firemen? Heroes. And so that's why cops often will do better. But, you know, some cops use their power for bad, and women realize that. So I think firemen outperform cops because firemen don't use that power for bad. So
there's no song called F the Fireman.
Right. Right.
But yeah, Breach, I just checked on the market. We're at 106.8, almost 106.9, so we're still close to that 107. And I'm waiting until we get to maybe next week. We're streaming at all-time highs for Bitcoin. We'll see.
Abe's comment right there is worth bringing up about the Andre Jick video. Yeah. You know, what's funny is he covered it like right near the top of Omi, and he had just put like 250,000 into Omi. Like rewatch Andre Jick's Omi video from 4 years ago. Comey delivered everything Andre was concerned about. Can't believe we still have so many haters, grown men and women throwing tantrums. What really people are mad about is numbers gone down for 3 years. Like the truth is VeVe and Omi VeVe has delivered amazingly well, yet Omi's price is down. People are just mad at that because they don't realize it doesn't matter that VeVe's delivered all those things. We're still in a bear market, and they think somehow if we're in a bull market or a bear market for the altcoins, we're definitely in a bull market for Bitcoin, but altcoins only hit at the very end of that. So until then, they do very poorly. And then all of a sudden they go 100, 200, 300x. Look at Omi's history before. It wasn't until February of 2021 that it went cool, really good. And over a period of 2 months, it went 3,000x. So we're just waiting for right near the end, and Omi will take off and do incredibly well again. Most likely, that's how the odds are that it'll play out. And so we're just waiting for that. So all the fudders and stuff, like I think VeVe has delivered incredibly well over the bear market. I'm very pleased with what they've done, how good everything works now, the additional IP that they've done. I'd say they're on track to become the #1 digital collectibles app in the world. Omi's price is just, the price swung so high, it overboomed, and now it's over busting, and the price is cheap, and smart people will take advantage of that. And then if I'm right, it'll go massively up again. And those that bought low will have a chance to sell high and make some good gains.
Agreed. Until next time, until we get this bread. And I don't know how many, we should have a celebratory stream whenever it is, whenever we're Omi millionaires again. We'll go and do
for
that.
sure. We will, and it'll be fun, right? Like it was awesome that Randy, you were game to do this. We launched this podcast when the FUD on Omi was like so high, and it's like, you know, like obviously a lot of people, they're new to investing and they don't get it. So while everyone else is like, Omi is so bad because VeVe hasn't done this and hasn't done this, it's like VeVe's actually doing just fine. And Omi is going to be just fine. In fact, we're going to give a big like F you to all the fudders and haters. And we're going to call the episode Omi is my homie. When the FUD was like so high, because it's like Omi's going to do just fine. They can't see it. And we're going to like take a very, very like going against the grain sentiment. And we're going to be like, we're going to run into the burning building with Omi like logos on. When the Omi building is burning down, we're going to run in there with Omi logos on and be like, we effing love Omi. And that's why we called this show what we did. And, you know, and we'll be proved right. And the fudders will just go away. And it'll be fun to, you know, have our celebratory thing when Omi goes to 1 or 2 or 3 cents. And, you know, thank all those in the audience that saw, you know, what was going on and believed in it too. And we'll be able to celebrate.
Heck yeah. Ray, thank you for joining me every week, as always. Hopefully next week we can chill with Dr. Stuff. Everybody say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. Until next time. Goodbye, guys. Meow. Meow, meow, Randy. And